4-story building. The pool was made of 3 panels of glass bonded together, with air gaps between the layers to reinforce structural integrity. He spent $30 million just so he could take a half-hour swim every night. But that bold design gave me exactly the opening I needed. I carefully analyzed the pool's structure and found a fatal flaw. I engineered an air depressurization device and secretly connected it to the pool's airline. While he was enjoying his swim, I slipped in unnoticed and hit the remote without hesitation. The air between the glass layers began to bleed out. With 150 tons of water sitting in the pool, cracks shot across the glass almost instantly, and the whole thing shattered and collapsed before his eyes. That billionaire was a terrorist. Under their ringleader's orders, the group had planned a terrorist attack in London. My wife happened to be in London on a business trip. She was taken hostage and brutally murdered by 4 of them. When I got the news, I was shattered. I swore I would kill every last one of them with my own hands and avenge my wife. But I was just a code breaker. I'd never even touched a gun in my life. How was I supposed to take on a gang of ruthless killers? After long and careful deliberation, I decided to use my brain to get my revenge. Using my access at the intelligence agency, I pulled up every surveillance tape from the crime scene. Then, putting my decryption skills to work, I successfully identified all 4 of the attackers. The terrorist ringleader went by saying Biao vicious, cunning, and responsible for countless crimes, yet he'd always managed to stay one step ahead of the law. I started in Paris, quietly tailing a woman. Her name was Gretchen, and she was one of the terrorists who killed my wife. After thorough investigation, I figured out the best way to get to her. I went to a flower shop and bought out every last bouquet in the store. Gretchen suffered from asthma and had to go to the hospital regularly for cardiopulmonary therapy. I disguised myself as a doctor and slipped inside, then shut the glass door and locked her in the chamber. I yanked out the air tube and connected the intake valve to a plastic bag packed with pollen. Yellow pollen rushed through the tube and flooded the chamber. Gretchen immediately broke into violent coughing fits. I demanded she give up the ringleader's whereabouts, but she refused to crack. I had no choice but to crank up the airflow, putting her through pure agony. Just as she was on the verge of suffocating, Gretchen finally caved and let slip some critical information. But through the thick glass, I couldn't make out a word she was saying. Assuming she had no fight left in her, I opened the glass door. But Gretchen came charging out and she could fight. I was nothing but a desk jockey. I didn't stand a chance. She put me flat on the ground. Gretchen then bolted out of the hospital. I had a gun in my hand, but I couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger. Just then, a car came speeding out of nowhere and struck Gretchen dead. I grabbed her phone and got out of there as fast as I could.